Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another live broadcast of the Dynasty Racing League right here on DRL TV, your home for everything involving the Dynasty Racing League. Tonight on DRL TV, we will watch as these drivers of the Dynasty Racing League Indy Series begin their quest to see who can be the champion of tonight's running of the Montreal Grand Prix. Today, these drivers will be attacking Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a 2.7-mile masterpiece that is carved into the heart of Notre Dame Island, located just east of downtown Montreal, Quebec. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve has been meticulously maintained since its opening in 1978. As a result, this track is very smooth, very fast, and promotes incredible racing. My name is Getty Buckner, and it will be my pleasure to host tonight's action. With me tonight will be special guest Alex Russell. Alex, you're obviously a fan of Montreal, as you are, our special guest tonight. What is it about this course that draws your attention?
Well, I think that this course, as you said, it does promote very great racing. It has high-speed sections, nice flowing chicanes, and that real good hairpin turn, which sets all the drivers up for the long run down the backstretch.
Yeah, that hairpin turn is fairly notorious. Turn 10 there, going down the Casino Straight, that's called. It's as we're watching Andrew Short actually take it right now. One of the best, one of the most notable areas of a track in all of road course open wheel racing. That, and of course, the Wall of Champions that is claims so many victims. It's that quick right-left just before the start-finish line. Of course, we will see that a little bit later. Currently, right now, these guys are qualifying, and as we get these qualifying results in just a few minutes, we will, of course, run through that grid. But here we are today. It's going to be 60 laps here, 14 turns all around this road course tonight. And again, talking about some of the more notable ones, turn 2, of course, always it's going to be a really sharp right-hander. We're probably going to see some spins. There's grip here if you know how to use it. Otherwise, again, it's very smooth. It's almost been taken care of too well. It doesn't have the most grip as far as like some of these other road courses that we've been to. So, Alex, again, a pleasure to have you today. What's maybe something that you're looking forward to seeing? If you haven't watched too much of the open wheel, the Indy series this year, what's one thing that you're looking forward to, seeing firsthand tonight?
I guess I'm looking forward to some pretty close racing. As looking at the timing screens, we have top 3 right there together. I think that's going to be a big battle between Matthew DePriest and Mark Emerson tonight.
Yeah, and you can't discount currently our third place qualifier, Christopher, looking for his third consecutive win. Last week, these guys in the Indy Series were at Iowa Speedway. Certainly a completely different type of racetrack than the one we're seeing today, as that is a sub 1 mile short track. Christopher led 200 of 200 laps and had an incredible dominating type run. Andrew Short was able to finish second, and he was able to chomp into a little bit of that points lead that Matthew DePriest has. He is now currently 45 points behind Matthew DePriest, so it's very important that Andrew Short, whether he stays close or maintains that gap, heading into these final 6 races that we have here, that's going to be his focus for sure. I just about guarantee it. A lot of these guys, again, it looks like we have about 15 cars total in this field. Not everyone in here is a road course master. They come out here because it's just incredible fun. So there's going to be different strategies that we're going to see throughout the field. I imagine we'll get spread out pretty quick. Of course, those first couple turns when we drop the green flag are going to be treacherous. After a while, I imagine these guys will get spread out a little bit, and then you'll see some of the guys in back really kind of lay off a little bit. Their goal is just to finish. some of those guys in that middle group, their goal is to, maybe try to, fight for a top 5, and then of course you'll have those 3 or 4 guys at the top of the the timing screen there that they're going to be really duking it out for a win. A couple different pit strategy options here. It'll probably be a 2 or perhaps even 3 pit stops today, depending on whether you pit only depending on what kind of gas mileage you're getting, or if you're also, these guys might actually want rubber a little bit sooner too. So it'll be certainly very, very interesting, as we do have a minute and a half left of qualifying, and it does look like Matthew Dupree so far, he's probably going to hang on for this pole here.
I think Matthew Dupree has got it pretty secure, gauging that he has a 3/10 lead over Jonathan Schwartz. We do have 2 drivers who haven't qualified. I'm pretty sure Casey Drake will attempt to get into the top 5. I don't think he could have a run at the pole, but we never know.
Yeah, now some of these guys, of course, Dynasty League racing rules is you have to put down a qualifying lap. So maybe these guys, they're just kind of putting around. They don't want to qualify too high and maybe get in the way. They just kind of want to ride around. Is that we're actually riding with Chris James, as he is just kind of, he will get technically he'll get a qual lap in, and he will not be penalized. Casey Drake doing the very same thing as he drives that Fortnite sponsored vehicle there. And there, Casey Drake just to his left, as we saw that Wall of Champions coming off of that sharp left-hand turn there. That's going to claim a few victims tonight. That is an incredibly technical part of this racetrack.
In my testing I've done here, which I was just out test driving around, you have the 2 kind of sausage curbs. You hit those, your car can go flying right into that wall.
Yeah, these cars. I mean, they only, these Deleras. They're only 1,500 pounds. So it's not that surprising that if you catch that a little bit wonky, you're going to go flying into oblivion. Now, we do have Matthew Dupree confirmed, I believe, as our pole sitter. So we'll see if we can get a interview with Matthew Dupree here in just a second, as these guys are getting ready to grid. All right, we'll bring in Mr. Dupree here. Matthew Dupree, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir. They're doing the pre-race.
Hey, guy. This is Getty up in the booth. Excellent lap there. What is it about this track that seems to have you, at the top of the leaderboard right now?
Going fast.
Going fast.
That's the way to put it.
Right? No, I mean,
I didn't expect to be up here, but here we go.
Awesome. Do you have any interesting strategy planned for this race, or is it just, just bust through 60 laps and see what happens?
Same as oval, don't die.
Same as oval.
Road, I usually end up killing myself more than anything else. So.
Well, I certainly
fight me.
Certainly love the attitude. Obviously, last week you had some interesting adversity. Your good luck, your excellent luck that you've had, has finally maybe ran out there, at least for that Iowa race. Hopefully tonight hopefully tonight you're able to keep it clean. Matt, we wish you the best of luck. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Enjoy watching.
10-4, buddy.
All right, good luck, man.
Appreciate it. Have fun.
Hey, Matt, were you down with David, right?
DPR.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you. That was Matthew Dupree, our points leader, our pole sitter. He is no stranger to winner's circle, as he has claimed 2 victories already in the 12 races that he's run this year. So, if anyone could get it done tonight, it's certainly him.
Yep, you got to be real consistent at all tracks in the IndyCar series, and he's surely shown up the pace.
Yeah, no, it's a 20 race season. We are currently this is currently round 14. So, as we are, sorry here. It's currently round 14, so it's getting to that point in the season where we're starting to see some you know, the championship take place, as we are just about ready to go green here, I believe.
They are lining up ready for the grid, and here we go. Green flag is out at Montreal.
Watching these guys take that treacherous turn 1 into turn 2 here. Matthew Prix does get a little bit loose here.
Someone went around.
Someone did go around. Again, it's it was David Wingfield letting
Drake also is spun.
It will be interesting to try to keep up with some of this action here, especially in these first couple laps. Casey Drake, both of those guys seem to have gotten some minimal damage here in that exchange. Jonathan Schwartz able to pass Matthew Dupriest. One thing that you guys, you got to know about these cars is until these tires warm up, which could be a lap or two, the handling it's absolutely garbage. So right now we've got Jonathan Schwartz, Matthew Dupriest, Chris Stouffer, Mark Emerson, our newest addition to the Dynasty Racing League, as he just joined this league, I believe, just a few moments ago, a couple hours, and then Luke Short rounding out your top 5. As they are circling turn 10, going down the casino straight, heading into that
final chicane.
That crazy chicane, turns 13 and 14, where the Wall of Champions is located, and you'll see these guys pass. We'll see how many victims it ends up claiming tonight.
Can really see the air that Jonathan Schwartz was getting over the sausage curbs.
Yeah, we had an excellent... Oh! David Wright, I believe he goes around.
That is not going to help his race. Looks to have minimal damage on his car. Matthew Kleinschmidt also involved.
We are going to try to go on board here with David Wright here and see what exactly happened there. It looks like he might have just lost his vehicle. Yep, that is exactly right. That's exactly what happened. He kind of hit the curbs a little goofy. And again, no worse for wear. He has plenty of time to make up for it. And it looks like Matthew Dupriest has retaken over the lead, as we do have a battle for second as well between Chris Stouffer, Jonathan Schwartz. Luke Short, Jonathan Schwartz actually goes off course here.
Steven Stims has become another victim of turn 1. He's running 7th place.
All right, looking at Steven Sims there. Again, going back to that pass by Luke Short, I don't think Jonathan Schwartz is quite ready to be overtaken in that particular part of the track. So Jonathan Schwartz will actually go from 1st to 6th for now. Obviously, again, plenty of time, as it looks like Luke Short is going to get overtaken here as they enter turn 13 and 14. Mark Emerson taking that 3rd spot, holding that final podium spot here. Chris James wrapped up in a battle here. I believe that is with Casey Drake, as they are now approaching the front stretch, the start-finish line here. So certainly a hectic first couple laps here, trying to keep up with all this all this action here, Alex.
Yeah, that tire heat, that's very important to these Indy cars. With the downforce that they have, some being taken away from the previous version, it's definitely important. And we have a yellow for Andrew Short.
Yeah, Andrew Short
turned around.
He gets spun around there, but he is not able to really get his car actually turned around at all. That's a very unfortunate spot of the track to try to turn one of these cars around. Obviously, the turning radius not being great. We are looking overhead to see what happens. Maybe a little too generous on the gas pedal upon exiting that corner there. I believe that was turn 6th and or turn 4 perhaps, probably, and yep, again, not really able to get turned around there. We've seen a couple spins where these guys can kind of get turned around pretty quick. Again, all these early spins, not the worst thing in the world for these guys. They'll be able to, overcome. As, again, we are only on lap 3 of 60, so, again, besides the guys that spun, I don't see a lot of the leaders really pitting right now, but you never know.
Yeah, I think the leaders are trying to keep to their tire strategy or the fuel strategy and stretch out just a little bit extra fuel. If enough cautions come out, they could go for a 2-stop or if it's really a lot, a one stop is possible.
Looking there at the exit of pits, at pit there's a little bit of contact, I believe, between Mark Emerson and Jonathan Schwartz. So, again, as these guys are trying to catch the pace car here, we will have a couple pace laps, and these drivers will get themselves sorted out. I will get myself sorted out. Again, Alex, you've already been an incredible help pointing out all the chaos here on these road courses. It's just incredible to keep up with. And we don't even have that large of a field. 15 cars is fairly average. Obviously, these servers can, maintain up to 40 drivers here, so thank goodness we don't have that many.
The servers have been improved, considering that we do have the 24 hours of Spa coming up.
Right.
It is nice to see that, unlike the Daytona 24, the servers are still going pretty strong.
Now I'm looking at Luke Short here, and if you can help me confirm, Alex, I believe he has a little bit of wing damage here, so he might be one of the leaders that possibly pits to help maintain some of that downforce. Again, that's on my screen right now. We're looking at...
I am seeing the DRL Indy logo being bent up quite a bit.
Yeah, so it does appear that he has a little left front wing damage there.
I'm going back to try and see what happened. So that's going to contribute a reasonable amount of downforce to that Indy car.
Now, that could have been a possible incident that he had when trying to overtake Jonathan Schwartz a few laps ago, so...
Yes, I'm seeing on my screen when Jonathan Schwartz, he had his unfortunate off-track. He got just a little bit of that damage trying to avoid him.
Now, interestingly enough, a lot of the leaders decide to pit in, even ones like, even a driver like Christopher, who may not have gotten any damage. Matthew DePriest, James Pandolf, actually the only two vehicles that stay out. So that's very interesting. Very, very much the contrary of what I had anticipated. I did not anticipate many of the leaders coming in at all. So. Very interesting there. Again, the caution was waived for a car that spun in a very unfortunate spot. The yellow was waived because the car couldn't really get turned around there without being without becoming a hazard to other people. Looking at some of these drivers' damage, again, most of it repairable. The only type of damage you don't want to get here is pod damage. You have the front wing, you have the rear wing. Anything else is really, like any suspension damage or pod damage, it's almost unfixable. So hopefully none of these drivers have any of that, because that makes for a long race. As we mentioned when we talked to Matthew DePriest, he talked about how last week was kind of a miserable for him. That's kind of what happened to him. He got some pod damage, was going almost 20 miles an hour slower than the entire than the entire field. So I believe the pit lights are off on the pace car, so when they do circle 10 here, they will be headed down the casino straight, and they will be looking to get to regain that green flag. Matthew DePriest maintaining that lead, but James Pandolf, he did not pit, so he will be a new addition up here with these guys. We'll see if he tries to hang, or if he tries to maybe let some of these guys pass. Again, a little early to be pushing, as it is only lap 560.
I think that the leaders' calls were to stay out is they're thinking, well, yes, it has been 5 or so laps, and everybody behind, they're thinking we got better tires if we go in, and trying to get that extra grip along the track could help them in the long run.
Yeah, again, it's kind of you see oftentimes what the leader does, second, third, fourth, they kind of tend to do the opposite. So Matthew DePriest kind of put in a very unfortunate situation there. But again, it's only 3 laps of racing wear, 5 laps total of tire wear. So I think he'll be just fine, as he is set to take the green.
And here we go, back into the green flag.
Now this is single file restarts from here on out, so there will be certainly a little bit less chaotic as they do enter turn 1. And, oh, Pandolf spins on those cold tires.
It doesn't look like anybody's going to hit him. Oh, contact!
What was that? Steve Sims kind of cut through the grass there, and what I can't tell exactly who that was that he hit.
Robbie Armstrong, he is definitely off pace in the grass.
All right. Well, we will certainly be looking at that replay, and then we will catch back to our current. Our live action here in just a second. Looking at Robbie Armstrong as he does avoid James Pandolf, kind of cuts through, and Steve Sims just kind of comes out of nowhere, cutting the grass there. Looking at Robbie Armstrong, maybe trying to see how much damage he sustained in that. Obviously, Steve Sims is missing half of a front wing. I think Robbie Armstrong will hopefully be able to carry on from this. Again, that is certainly a frustrating situation, as we will regain live feed from our leader here, Mr. Matthew DePriest, as he's getting ready to enter turns 13 and 14.
Looking at Steve Sims on board, it just looks like he got loose in turn 1 and the car just kind of stepped out from him.
Is that what put him in the grass in the first place? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he was trying to rejoin the track, and he didn't see anybody at all. And there you go, a car right on your front wing.
Yeah. We are riding with Matthew DePriest, looking back to Chris Stouffer again. Chris Stouffer aiming for 3 wins in a row, and you know, that's absolutely incredible. We haven't really seen anybody rack off the dominating performance that Chris Stouffer has, and he could have more. But there were certain races that Chris Stouffer was in where his aggression, you know, he's certainly an aggressive driver, especially on the ovals. And he was one of the best cars for the Indy 250. But he ended up taking himself out because of, you know, he one drastic move too many and ended up costing him the race. So Chris Stouffer, again, looking for that 3rd win in a row, and, you know, just been absolutely on fire lately. Mark Emerson, again, our newest addition to the Dynasty Racing League, only a couple hours into his DRL career here. We are going to be riding on board as Mark Emerson enters that treacherous turn 13 and 14 here.
It is definitely good for him to show that he does have pace, as I've only had 2 DRL Cup Series starts, and both at the plate tracks. I felt like I ran very well at Daytona, finishing 3rd, and I made quite some friends and enemies out there. Hope I made more friends than enemies.
David Wingfield has decided to pit. Yeah, no, that's obviously the goal, is you want to be fast, you also don't want to be in the way. But I don't think it's coincidence that Mark Emerson decided to join DRL moments before you know, an official Indy Series race. So it's possible that he had been looking for maybe a series like this. This is not too common found in iRacing here. So now we're looking on board with Jonathan Schwartz and Luke Short battling it out for 4th and 5th here, as these guys have already gotten together once this race. This is currently your battle for 5th. With 1 car parked, 1 car in the pits, we still have, you know, 13 cars on the track attacking. As we were watching Schwartz maneuver turn 10 there, heading down the casino straight with Luke Short. But behind these guys is a very good battle for 7th and 6th, Alex.
Yeah, they're right on neck and neck. I think that Andrew Short might be able to get a good draft on the casino straight. There he is pulling out.
Yep, trying to overtake David Wright again. You can tell he's taking it cautiously, as he doesn't want to take too many risks. Again, lap 9 of 60. We still have you know, an incredible amount of racing left, but good move by him. And it looks like James Pandolf, who was just in 2nd place a few moments ago before that spin on the restart. Andrew Short spins.
Around.
As we're talking about that spin with James Pandolf, Andrew Short does something almost identical. And behind these guys, there's also a little bit of there's a little bit of a battle as well with Casey Drake and Chris Sims. So Andrew Short again maintaining 0 damage so far as I can see, but
Robbie Armstrong around again. Something must have happened to his car where it is terminal.
All right, we will actually go on board with Robbie Armstrong and try to follow along here. Yeah, it looks like he's just trying to mosey around here, and it's just his luck today not incredible, which isn't surprising for if you follow this series and know anything about Robbie Armstrong, you'll know that gentleman does not have terrific luck, at least this year anyway, as he was taken out as the leader in the Indy 250. So he's definitely not had the best luck, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better today here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So looking here at Mathieu Dupriest, he's certainly setting a decent pace. He and Christopher 1-2 starting to gap Mark Emerson just a little bit. Luke Short is certainly 3 more seconds behind third. So again, as I anticipated, these guys are going to start getting spread out just a little bit.
Mathieu Dupriest is definitely running at least 1/10 of a second faster than Christopher. He's got that car tamed in for this race.
Right now we're watching the battle, the closest battle on the track here, as Jonathan Schwartz overtakes Luke Short. We saw Luke Short kind of light up his tires just a little bit. Looking at Luke Short, it does appear that he did end up getting that wing damage fixed, as we will see him head into turn 10 here and try to accelerate onto the casino stretch. He doesn't want to lose Jonathan Schwartz's draft too much, as it appears he's certainly not close enough to take advantage of an overtake situation here.
Getting off of turn 10 is probably the most valuable turn, because then you can get right up behind your competitor and might have an overtake, as Jonathan Schwartz nearly goes into the tire barrier.
Yeah, no, these guys are really putting on an excellent show. These leaders are so fast, and we've only had a few spins. Again, Pandolf, Andrew Short, Steven Sims, Robbie Armstrong, just a handful of single car spins, really no multi-car incidents, really not a lot of damage dealt here at Montreal, so that's always encouraging for sure. Now Luke Short, he was with me in the booth last week at Iowa Speedway. It's part of the whole special guest promotion that we're running here for Dynasty Racing League. It's getting some co-broadcasters, get some fresh blood, and that's why we have Alex Russell here today joining us.
And it's definitely looking Andrew Short is catching James Pandolf and David Wright, running about 2 seconds a lap faster.
Yeah, and Pandolf and David Wright are actually battling it out, which could, be contributing to, their speed. Their speed being down just a bit. As Pandolf is known as kind of an aggressive driver, so if he sees an overtake, he's gonna go for it almost immediately. Not often does he back down from a fight. Andrew Short, again, he did spin just recently, also spun to bring out the first caution. And so he's hopefully not driving too mean, and not driving in a way that's going to compromise his his future of this race. You certainly don't want to see another spin or anything like that, as he's trying to overtake JP going into turns 13-14 here with the wall champions to his right.
Looks like Pandolf's able to keep his position, as we have another full course caution.
We're trying to click around here and see exactly what's going on. Uh-oh. I don't see it right now.
Casey Drake's definitely got some rear wing damage, that's for sure.
Ooh, while we were looking around, Mathieu Dupriest, uh-oh, he has significant damage. We're going to look with Mathieu Dupriest right now. And he loses it exactly where Andrew Short lost it, and he spun right there, ends up trying to back up, hits the wall. Again, our leader here, Mathieu Dupriest, his bad luck carrying over from Iowa Speedway. And again, that might be the type of damage that you may not be able to overcome. Again, we'll see, of course, but Mathieu Dupriest actually, he was the caution. Again, I was looking more at the back of the pack with some of our guys that were spinning earlier, and That was not the case. It actually was our leader, Matthew DePriest. He spun basically as soon as we took the camera off of him and went to look back at some of the other battles around the track. So, single car spin. It wasn't, it wasn't a result of any contact with any other vehicle. It's just that part of the track seems to be pretty slick for a couple drivers at least, and so that will give Chris Stouffer the lead. And Mark Emerson came. If maybe we can backtrack again, it seemed like he was just a few seconds away from getting caused or getting included in that collision here.
It was definitely a close call when Matthew DePriest backed in the inside wall.
We're going to ride on board with Mark Emerson and see what he saw, and all of a sudden he sees this really green machine. Oh my goodness, that was incredible. I didn't even realize how near of a miss that was. Let's back up just a little bit. We'll do the cockpit view, and you can kind of see what Mark Emerson saw, and what he almost saw was the inside of Matthew DePriest's cockpit. Incredible skills by Mark Emerson to maneuver around that parked car there on that straightaway. So, yeah, that blind corner. So definitely a good idea to throw the caution there by race control Eric Weatherholtz.
Yeah, it was a well called made.
Mm-hmm.
When a car's definitely stopped on the exit of a blind turn, you're thinking about setting up that corner and down the next straight, and when you see a car parked right in your racing line, it's definitely hard to maneuver around.
Yeah,
Mark Emerson, excellent driving.
And we've seen even just the smallest little kink in your steering wheel when whether you have to just grab a few, just grab it a little bit while you need a sharp left or sharp right. We've seen these cars go around. They've spun doing much less. So the fact that he was able to maneuver around Matthew DePriest and do so without losing control of his vehicle is remarkable. And as you did mention, Casey Drake did get some rear wing damage, not able to go back far enough to see where his damage was caused from. Alex, I don't know if you have an opportunity to do that, but as we were watching, everyone will be coming in here for pit stops again, as it has been about 10 laps since our last pit stop here when caution number 1 came out.
All right, it is surprising seeing how short the cautions are coming out, and everybody's decision to come in and pit.
Mm-hmm. Chris Stouffer just barely beats out Mark Emerson for that lead. Luke Short will come out ahead of Jonathan Schwartz.
All right, I have been taking a look back at the replay, seeing what happened to Casey Drake, and turn 10 claims its first victim of the race. Casey Drake going around and back into the wall.
So encircling turn 10, he just lost control and backed it up in there. That must have been almost at the same exact time that Matthew DePriest spun around, because again, always very difficult to keep track of some of the action that we have, as we do have a lot going on. 14 turns, 2.7 miles of track to cover between just the 2 pair of eyes here. So we're doing the best we can, of course. We'll bring you replays anytime they are available, but very interesting series of events there.
Thing was, Casey Drake actually spun 3 or 4 laps before Matthew DePriest backed it into his wall.
Awesome. That just I was hoping that maybe it was at the same time. That way, if I'm missing action on the track, it's because there's other action on the track. But the fact that you say that certainly doesn't help my case.
The thing was that he kind of spun around, and as soon as he hit the wall, he was already on the gas going around. So maybe it was because he didn't stop exactly on the racetrack that the caution wasn't thrown.
Now we saw the rear wing damage that Matthew DePriest had. We're currently doing a chase cam on him right now, as he is getting set to go green here, getting passed by the field. He will start at the tail end of the lead lap here. It does look like he got his rear wing damage fixed, so it's possible that Matthew DePriest isn't just out of this yet, as he has obviously been the fastest car so far. But, you know, can he carve through this field, as Chris Stover is set to take this field to green once more, single file. Mark Emerson, Luke Short are your top three. Looks like David Wright might have maybe spun the tires there or something like that.
Mark Emerson making a hard charge on Chris Stover and the first turn.
We have David Wright spinning.
He's able to get back going.
We will do a quick little instant replay there of this and kind of see what happened here as they enter turn one. This is a replay of David Wright entering turn one. Yeah, again, just kind of losing it. Makes a little bit of contact with James Pandolf. Both of those guys will have a little bit of front wing damage. Of course, that is fixable, and it does look like another vehicle there spun as well. Matthew Kleinschmidt. So, and he is one of our favorites, our championship favorites for the Winona Road Truck Series. So, awesome to see Matthew Kleinschmidt trade in those bulky trucks for an IR-18 Dallara vehicle here. As Chris Stover and Mark Emerson have kind of pulled away from Jonathan Schwartz and Luke Short. James Pandolf here, as you can see, coming out of turn 10 with that damage, being chased by Andrew Short, Chris James, and Matthew DePriest again. Trying to charge hard here, make up those spots that he lost as we were riding on board with Matthew DePriest now going down the casino straight, entering 13-14. So, judging by his speed and the fact that he has already gained several positions, Matthew DePriest, I think he'll certainly be in good shape here.
Matthew DePriest is definitely showing his dominance as he gets a little slideways in a turn two.
Yeah, and James Pandolf might be having maybe some handling issues as it seems. Oh, we have a spun Jonathan Schwartz.
Holy moly, was that? I saw smoke.
Yeah, that was Jonathan Schwartz just sitting in the middle of the
Take a look at that replay, because that is. I think I saw a car hit into Schwartz.
Yeah, we saw James Pandolf hit him as well, and it's that same exact area that ends up claiming its third victim, at least its third confirmed victim. Surprised that there wasn't a caution thrown there. Jonathan Schwartz. Ouch. And we're actually going to ride him.
Pandolf is around again. His car has definite suspension issues. That is a definite tough break for the league owner.
Yeah, James Pandolf, again, we saw him make contact with David Wright. We saw him make contact with Jonathan Schwartz, who is now our first official retiree after sustaining incredible damage. And I don't know, but it's possible that James Pandolf will be right behind him as far as a retiree. He might have too much damage to continue. So, very unfortunate for him. Looking at some of the cars that were racing around him, see if they had maybe gotten any damage. It looks like Andrew Short, who we saw chasing him, and again, Andrew Short also chasing Matthew DePriest, who's climbed all the way up to 4th position so far. We're talking about Matthew DePriest here. Andrew Short doesn't seem to have any substantial damage. Chris James in front of him seems to be clean. Casey Drake seems to be clean as we're cycling through these cars to see what kind of damage we have on any of these cars, if any. And it looks like most of our competitors now are in fairly good shape here. So
I'm wondering if James Pandolf didn't see Jonathan Schwartz, because out of that turns number 3 and 4, you can kind of see him through his cockpit view, and he turned towards him and jerked away at the very end. I'm not sure if he was focusing on apexes or not.
Yeah, again, you never quite know what a driver looks at with his eyes, but certainly Jonathan Schwartz driving a very bright blue vehicle, kind of in a place where you could sort of see him, but again, very unfortunate for Jonathan Schwartz. And yeah, he is backed out of the server, and that will be what we see of Jonathan Schwartz this week. Now, what remains to be seen is how much damage James Pandolf has, and if he's able to fix it.
Yeah, that damage looks pretty severe, considering he has rear wing damage and front wing. I'm assuming there definitely is suspension damage.
We were riding on board with James Pandolf, or not on board, we were riding along with James Pandolf as we saw him hit the 58 of Jonathan Schwartz. So we saw him make the contact. It's just, how much of it is repairable, and we will find out shortly. But
Schwartz is getting an end-of-line penalty. I'm wondering what that is about.
Not certain. You said Andrew Short getting an EOL.
Yeah, he is going to the rear of the field. I'm wondering if there was contact. Yes, he ran into the back of James Pandolf, which sent him around again. And that it was giving him front wing damage. Interesting turn of events.
We're trying to go back and see this incident here.
I think it was turns somewhere between turn 5 and turn 9.
We're certainly having a little bit of a struggle capturing that.
It was on lap 16, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does not allow me to go back that far with the software that we run here. Again, we're good for about 30, 40 seconds, and after that, it's kind of hit and miss. That's why we got to be quick with some of this racing action that we have. But Mark Emerson, Luke Short, Matthew Dupree's back up into third already. So Mark Emerson leading his first laps as a member of the Dynasty Racing League. Luke Short behind him, and then
the ever quick Matthew Dupree right into the picture.
Incredible for him to rebound and get gain as many positions as he did in such a short amount of time. So good for him. Looking at James Pandolf, it appears he's back out on track, circling turn 10, currently trying to catch up with the rear of the field here. So he appears to be ready to go. Andrew Short back to 10th. So again, he'll have to maneuver around some traffic. James Pandolf is back and ready to go, and then Mark Emerson is set to take this field to green here, Alex.
Definitely what Mark Emerson wants, considering that he's a fresh start here. Mm-hmm. He's ready and raring to go. He might have a run for the championship next season.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. He's proved, at least here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, that he is incredibly quick, as he is set to go green flag racing here. Lap 18 of 60, so plenty of racing yet. A little bit of caution-filled action here, but hopefully we can get a little bit of green flag racing here as Matthew Dupree almost slides off course trying to attack Luke Short for second.
And all the drivers.
Ooh, Luke Short.
Raul Alvarez. Raul making it a hard contact with the turn 2 wall. Luke Short, as you've mentioned. 2 drivers already the first lap back racing green, claiming some incidents.
We're going to be riding with Luke Short here, circling turn 1, or circling turn 2, getting back here to that first set of S's here, and he just kind of loses the rear end, and that camera angle certainly is not incredible. We will do it one more time, and I'm very curious to see who is it that makes contact with him, as he obviously got rear wing damage. It appears that it is Casey Drake that actually ends up nicking him. Not sure if Casey Drake got any damage out of this. You also mentioned Raul Alvarez making contact with a wall of some sort here.
It just looked like he was going into turn 2. The car got real loose. He tried to overcorrect, and it went straight into the outside wall.
Yeah, we saw the tail end of that as Mark Emerson again leading that lap. Coming out of turn 2 here, Matthew Dupree almost 2 seconds back. Casey Drake behind him in third. Chris James, Steven Sims, another newer driver to the Dynasty Racing League, in 5th. David Wright, James Pandolf already up to 7th place here, with Andrew Short just behind him. We'll ride on board with Andrew Short now.
James Pandolf must have that damage really fixed quick. I thought there was definite suspension damage when he hit Jonathan Schwartz.
Well, it's possible that there is, and we'll see what happens in a couple laps. Something that new tires certainly tend to hide is any little camber damage or anything like that, or camber. As Pandolf does go off course, and Andrew Short actually ends up making contact with him. Oh no!
Andrew Short's gone around, as you've mentioned. I'm currently riding on board with James Pandolf, and through turn 10, he looks, which is one of the hard camber turns, he looks just fine.
Yeah, through Andrew Short obviously made contact with JP. He did go off course a bit, ended up going incredibly, he lost a lot of speed. Andrew Short rear ends him. Hopefully Andrew Short's able to continue. Some of these drivers not having the best of luck tonight, kind of getting caught up in a lot of stuff that's not really of their own doing here, but James Pandolf continues. Andrew Short back down to 9th. Luke Short down to 10th. Chris Stouffer.
Does look like Andrew Short has some front wing damage. Wonder if that is impacting the downforce of the car.
I'm trying to... Chris Stouffer, back just a couple laps ago. Again, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for not being able to keep up with all this action. Chris Stouffer actually ended up getting a lot of damage here in 13 and 14. Wall of Champions might be claiming its first victim here. Oof, and he makes hard contact with that inside wall. It looks like he was checking up for Chris James and almost pulls in front of traffic there. So Chris Stouffer, extensive damage. He may not be coming back out.
Chris Stouffer. Looking at the incident, it looks like he just got loose getting onto the curbs of the outside, and inside wall was waiting to greet him.
Yep. Absolutely. Again, apologies, trying to keep up with this. There's been a lot of action, a lot of single car spins today, and as, again, me and Alex are the only set of eyes looking at this racetrack, we're trying to make sure that we bring you as much coverage as we certainly can without missing any of the, the live battles here. Mark Emerson getting ready to come up on the lapped car of, I believe that is Raul Alvarez. And Andrew Short has decided to pit in and maybe take care of some of that damage that he had.
Mark Emerson pulling away. Casey Drake around.
And then that's
Fortnite car.
Casey Drake around. JP gets around safely. Steve Sims, Chris James also able to navigate around. We will back that up just a second here and see kind of what happened here with Casey Drake as we go on board. And again, this is that same area that's claimed the names like Matthew Dupree. So that little area is incredibly, that little area of turn 3 and 4 has claimed a lot of victims. As Andrew Short was one of them. He was the one that brought out that first caution. Matthew Dupriest, Jonathan Schwartz, it ended up ending his night altogether, and now Casey Drake. So currently,
Chris Stouffer looks to be out of his race car. Maybe extensive damage repair on him.
Yeah. Hopefully, if I can, I would like to bring in Chris Stouffer for an interview. Again, not being able to talk to these drivers beforehand. Maybe he's not ready for an interview, but we will certainly give it a shot here as we are riding on board with these leaders here. Try to bring in. We'll try to bring in Chris Stouffer for an interview here. Chris Stouffer, do you have a copy, sir? It appears Chris Stouffer does not have a copy. Again, you never want to. It's hard having those making those interviews with drivers that are obviously disappointed. Chris Stouffer was looking for his 3rd win in a row, as we had noted earlier, but there's an incredible battle for 3rd right now with David Wright, James Pandolf, Steven Sims. All 4 of these cars all right next to one another here.
Looks like we do have that intensive battle. James Pandolf struggling through turn 5, I'm pretty sure. And gets passed by Steven Sims.
Yeah, entering turn 10, James Pandolf looking inside, Luke Short looking inside of him. Those two end up making contact as well. I'm pretty sure when we looked up Circa Gilles Villeneuve, I was under the impression that it was not going to be a demolition derby. This has been an incredible amount of damage that these cars have sustained this race. We're going to go back on board, or we were going to try to find a replay of that just now as Luke Short seemed to be trying to overtake the slower vehicles of Pandolf and David Wright, but he was not, you know, Pandolf was actually trying to make a pass of his own. So
Pandolf has taken it onto the pit road maybe for a wing change or some suspension work. And
it appears Steve Sims actually ended up going around and sustaining some pretty significant damage right there on 13-14, right next to the Wall of Champions. So the Wall of Champions not claiming any victims. Ooh, and Steven Sims, in trying to turn it around, has significant damage. So
I am a little surprised that the Wall of Champions hasn't claimed too many lives yet.
No,
but
it
later
has
in the
not.
run, it could be.
There's not a lot more lives here to claim, as a lot of these guys are losing, you know, the integrity of their vehicles and any other, all these other spots here on the race, on the racetrack here. Mark Emerson again leading Matthew Dupriest by 1.7 seconds. David Wright in third. Chris James in fourth. And Matthew Kleinschmidt, who spun earlier this race, has rebounded nicely in fifth, taking advantage of some of these other spins that we've seen. Same with Luke Short. We saw him at I believe it was at the beginning of this green flag run. We saw him in 3 and 4 kind of back up into Casey Drake, but he actually ends up, you know, he's rebounded nicely in the 6th position. Since his pit stops there, Andrew Short kind of minding his own business there, which actually probably isn't the worst thing considering all the damage that we've seen with some of these side-by-side battles that we've had too. So he's all on his own there in 8th, and we're circling back here to James Pandolf, who does have a little bit of left side pod damage, so that could be affecting his handling. I certainly almost guarantee it.
It is looking like Mark Emerson is pulling at least 0.2 of a lap faster than Matthew Dupriest.
Yeah. Yeah, that last lap, Mark Emerson was faster. This lap, we will see that actually Matthew Dupriest was a few tenths of a second faster. So we're seeing who can be. It's the battle of consistency right now, as both of these drivers obviously have the speed. It's who can have the speed for longest. Incredible driving by these guys. We're actually going to go on board with Mark Emerson here and watch as he carves through. Ooh, actually goes off
James
course there.
Pandolf around, hard impact.
We're riding on board with James Pandolf in that same exact treacherous spot. Oh no, that same area has claimed 4 or 5, 6 cars, I think, this race. That is unreal. And as you had mentioned, JP going around, Mark Emerson actually kind of cut the grass a little bit. So that has allowed Matthew Dupriest to catch right back up to these guys.
Casey Drake and JP have unfortunately retired from the event.
If I can, I might try to bring in James Pandolf for an interview here. We're going to bring him into the broadcast booth, and if it doesn't look like he is willing to interview, we'll just send him on back. James Pandolf, this is the broadcast booth. You have a copy, sir?
Yes, I do.
A disappointing end to an incredibly eventful race by you as we were watching the battle for the lead here, but it seems that the grip out there just wasn't great, and the side-by-side battle, it just wasn't easy to navigate. What can you say about this race today, James?
Yeah, the race was it was very difficult to pass. Couldn't really get a good spot without possibly wrecking them. If you tried, you know, outbraking them, there was a great possibility of wrecking them. But grip was grip was here and there. Definitely certain parts of the track was less grippy than the others.
Yeah, I mean, we saw you make contact with other vehicles. We saw some spins. I mean, again, not the race that I know you anticipated having. As you know, oh, Matthew Dupree spins. Sorry to interrupt myself. Again, you know, what are maybe some of the things, the positive things that you can take from this race as we move to Mid-Ohio next week?
I'm sorry. It's just I don't know. The passing zones, got to learn the passing zones. Got to just learn to be patient, especially at a road course. It's just not many opportunities to pass, and patience is the key. And I felt like myself and even others were just not having as much patience as they should.
Sure, of course. All right, James, we'll let you go. Sorry for your disappointing race here, but hopefully you can look on and enjoy the rest of the broadcast here, as we are just about halfway done with this race here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It was a pleasure to watch you run tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Again, you can definitely hear the disappointment in James's voice there.
As you were interviewing James Pandolf, David Wright has gone around in turn number 4, claiming another victim.
That same area again. We will try to backtrack here and see if I can. And there it is. That was actually a perfect landing spot there in that replay. Watch him come through here. It looks like people are trying to be aggressive on those inside curbs coming on exit of that corner, and it's like we saw that just claim a few people, and actually Matthew Kleinschmidt actually ended up almost getting tangled up in that. Also, while we were interviewing James Pandolf, we saw Matthew Dupree slide into turn 10, almost going around. He lost many seconds to Mark Emerson, who now has a 5-second lead, and Luke Short, in our third place driver, is 50 seconds back. So he does have a podium right now, certainly not competing, as Luke Short goes around and gets damage here.
Andrew Short also around in treacherous turn number 10. We are receiving a lot of victims here at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, no, this is... Yeah, again, Andrew Short, we're watching Andrew Short, and we saw Luke Short spin. Andrew Short, of course, these guys are not related, just to clarify that. We're riding on board with Andrew Short, who, again, he's had a couple single car spins. He still has a clean car. Unfortunately, he will not be the first car to be one lap down, so he will not get the lucky dog. But yeah, on turn 10 here, just a little aggressive there on the accelerator, but a lot of spins, and I feel like race control was forced to kind of throw that caution flag, as there were several incidences between. We lost 2 or 3 race cars there in that little green flag stint. Matthew Dupree spun, Luke Short spun. My goodness, a lot of cars have gotten a lot of damage this race. So what we're going to do here on DRL TV is we're going to take a quick commercial break, Alex, and let these guys kind of catch their breath. We're going to catch our own breath here, and we will be back in just one moment. DRL TV welcomes you back to the Montreal Grand Prix here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Again, this is 60 laps here. We're just past halfway here. Mark Emerson, Matthew Dupriest, Chris James currently holding on to your podium positions. Great weather we're having tonight. Not great luck by some of these drivers, though, as Alex Russell is joining me today into the booth. As we've seen some of these lead cars here, everyone is pitted just about. So Mark Emerson, Matthew Dupriest, who have been the class of the field most of the race, they are going to take, they're going to get this race back underway, running 1-2. Alex, again, thank you for joining me today. What kind of has surprised you about this race?
Well, I've definitely been surprised that, as we have mentioned, it creates very great racing here around the Canada Montreal circuit. I am really surprised about turn number 3 and 4. That has been the story of the race, claiming many great drivers, including James Pandolf and Jonathan Schwartz.
Yeah,
Those are big names.
James Pandolf, Jonathan Schwartz. The exit of 13 and 14 has claimed drivers. Chris Stouffer and we saw Steven Sims sustain significant damages. We are set to go green here. Again, we probably still have at least one more pit stop yet to do, so we haven't seen last of pit road for these leaders here. But one driver I do want to mention before we go to green, it's Chris James, who started dead last and is now up to 3rd. So incredible run by him as we are set to go green here.
And the cars roll underway on the front straight. Gonna continue to look on for turn 1, see if any drivers spin, but I'm not seeing too many drivers out there.
Matthew Dupriest actually ends up spinning. That is our second place.
Steven Sims.
So again, with these cars just pitting, the grip level on these cold rubbers that these guys have is going to be almost nil. So Matthew Dupriest, again, a very experienced road course racer, our pole sitter, ends up going around for, I believe, at least the 3rd time in this race, giving Mark Emerson a huge advantage as Chris James and Luke Short are duking it out for the first runner-up here. Entering these S's here as they're getting ready to approach turn 10. Again, David Wright also wants to join this battle as well. Incredible racing so far on this restart.
Matthew Dupriest, one of the big road course ringers in the IndyCar series, he has been pushing this car to its absolute limit, spinning around multiple times.
And we saw Chris James go wide there, and in doing so, he gives that 5th position up to Matthew Dupriest. Again, up to 4th. Restarted 2nd, but then he did end up spinning here as we're watching these drivers enter turn 13 and 14 here and approach the start-finish line. I'm just surprised. Yeah, you don't often see a driver like Matthew Dupriest, who he has a lot of knowledge with these. He has a lot of knowledge of these cars, so he knows that when there's cold tires, certainly the grip level is going to be very low. So
I am a little bit surprised that with his knowledge and experience, being the points leader, he is pushing the car to its absolute limit when he knows he should maybe take it a little easier the first couple turns for the tires to heat up.
Yeah, and obviously, the pressure's on for Matthew Dupriest. He wants to get a win here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, try to get some of the points back that he lost last week at Iowa to Andrew Short, who's 2nd in points. And Andrew Short, of course, has had an eventful race as well for all the wrong reasons. We were looking back here at Andrew Short now running in 7th spot. Of course, 7th spot is a great position to be in, but of course, with how competitive Andrew Short is, he's going to want to be higher than 7th. I imagine he will once he can kind of settle the butterflies. Again, we were only just past halfway, so he has plenty of time to climb back into this race, especially with some of these other leaders like Luke Short and company getting a little bit of damage. So, but right now we're looking at Luke Short as he has fallen back 5 seconds of leader Mark Emerson, but Matthew Dupriest will be chasing Luke Short, I'm sure, here in a few laps. Matthew Dupriest, I would be surprised with him being on the back door of Luke Short, trying to get that 2nd spot and then start chasing our leader Mark Emerson down again.
Yeah, Matthew Prix has got to put on a run of his life to try and catch up Mark Emerson, who is running consistently fast lap times.
Yep, and Mark Emerson, again, normally this season, the IndyCar Series, we haven't seen this many spins, but certainly Mark Emerson's proving that, whoever screws up the least is benefiting from, being that leader. So as he exits turn 10, we see Luke Short and Matthew Dupreece enter turn 10 as he is going, as they get the head down the casino straight here and enter turn 13, 14 in just a few seconds.
I was just a little baffled to see the amount of spinning going around, bringing out 3 or 4 full course yellows.
Yes, it's again as we saw here, and we'll ride on board with Luke Short and show the viewers exactly what we're talking about here. This is turn 1 here, turn 2 here, notably treacherous as well because it is deceivingly sharp. But as they go down this mini stretch and they turn into 3 and exit on 4 here, you can see this right here, Luke Short. This area of the track that we just saw him pass has been incredibly active, I guess, for lack of better words. And that part, again, as Alex, you've mentioned a few times, that has been the story of the race, watching that claim so many victims. One of the fastest cars of the race is out because of that area, Jonathan Schwartz, and we've seen Andrew Short spin, we've seen Matthew Dupreece spin, we've seen, I believe, Casey Drake spun there as well. So
Pandolf, he was in that one of them.
Pandolf in there as well as Robbie Armstrong has decided to come back down pit road. Robbie Armstrong, again, he had that rough luck early on, so but he's been able to bite the bullet and end up trying to finish this race here in 10th spot. And Robert Armstrong, he's just a couple points behind Jason Taylor for that 3rd spot, and I do believe, and Eric Weatherholtz can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe our top 3 finishers in points do get prize money. So Robbie Armstrong, at this point, he's not just racing for pride, he's racing for dollar bills.
Yeah, with the prize money at the end of the season, you're definitely wanting to know, where can I improve my point standings to get a little bit of money?
Yeah, and part of DRL, Anytime Race Control, we speak to all the drivers beforehand, and one of the things we always say is we do encourage you to finish the race even if you do sustain some damage, and that is one of the reasons why, as we were watching this battle for second, by the way, Matthew Dupreece has taken over Luke Short deciding not to push the issue. Chris James also in pit road now.
Wonder what happened to him.
Looking here, I can't see. He definitely has some damage. We are going to try to go back and it looks like he goes off course. It may be 8, and it turns 8 and 9 here.
He went off course in turn 2 in hard impact into that outside Napa wall.
Yeah, so he had the impact on turn 2, and then we're watching him also trying to navigate turns 8 and 9. Again, he goes off course here as well. Obviously, he's already missing a front wing here, so that's going to, hurt his handling, and he's currently getting some of that damage fixed. Raul Alvarez also with some damage. We'll try to look back and find a replay of him sustaining that damage there on that left front wing. As we see him go around, what part of the track is that?
Turn 10.
Turn 10. Raul Alvarez looks like he gets his right side tires just over those markers there, and when trying to turn the vehicle around, it sustained some damage, which we actually saw. Steve Sims do that too when he was trying to correct his vehicle. We saw him sustain some damage. So Chris James, Raul Alvarez, Robbie Armstrong, David Wingfield, all in the pits here. And Raul Alvarez, I believe, he has exited pit road, so he will be out and try to navigate Circuit Gilles Villeneuve just a few more times here.
Yeah,
again, what a crazy event here. Mark Emerson gets so close to that exit on 14, though. We are riding on board with our leader, Mark Emerson, just kind of seeing what he's doing here as he enters turn 1 and 2. Incredible performance by our newest addition here. As DRL continues to expand, Alex Russell, again, you're new this year as well, so you can actually speak to this. As we continue to expand and attract more drivers, you know, the level of drivers that we are going to be taking in is going to be getting better and better. So people like Matthew DePriest, who kind of at the beginning of this Indy series didn't have too much competition, all of a sudden, you know, he's, you know, Mark Emerson's making Matthew DePriest sweat, and Matthew Kleinschmidt has decided to pit. But
yeah.
again, you can speak to that. You know, as joining a new league and trying to, you know, come in here and, you know, make a name for yourself. What sort of things do what sort of things do you look to accomplish?
The reason why I joined this league is because I had another league which unfortunately shut down, and all my friends were saying, "Hey, Dynasty Racing League, they're getting some people. Why don't we check it out?" So I hopped over to your website and I saw you were very welcoming to new drivers of any skill level. I made apply, and every race I've been in has been a close, action-packed run to the finish. Even if I've been wrecked out, it's a blast to come out and run at DRL. I'm surprised on how much people are really supportive here.
Now, while you were talking about you know, joining DRL there, we were just confirming that Matthew Kleinschmidt decided to test those inside rumble strips on turn 4, and like many others before him, he was not successful in navigating those, ends up getting a ton of damage. So, but back to your point, Alex, yeah, certainly, again, getting all these new drivers, the quality of drivers that we get now, it is, you know, it is increasing. It makes our league even that much more competitive, and it also gives us an opportunity to do something like this. The Dynasty Racing League is in its 2nd year, but this Indy series that we're currently watching right now is in its 1st year, and that is because, you know, we have expanded to the point where we can sustain more and more series. So, you know, that's the benefits for sure.
I have heard that there is in the works maybe a whole kind of road course series coming in the winter. I'm really excited for that, considering I love endurance racing.
Yeah, Eric Weatherholtz, and you know, he has an idea, and then for the winter, you know, for the winter series, I did some research a few months back, and, you know, deciding whether we wanted to sustain a road course winter series, you know, type series. Well, you know, a series, and you know, there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of these oval drivers, because that's what we started as, is an oval league. A lot of these oval drivers are attracted to the idea of running these road courses, so it's certainly not impossible to be able to have a, you know, multiple road course you know, series going on at once, especially with the different type of cars. But Matthew Kleinschmidt, you know, he is kind of out of his vehicle. I would like to see if we can get an interview with Mr. Kleinschmidt. I'm going to try to pull him in, and hopefully he's not just in the middle of a, you know, a cursing tirade here. Matthew Kleinschmidt, you got a copy, sir? This is the broadcast booth.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, we saw you take damage there at turn 4, as again, as we've noted, you are not the first, and you certainly probably won't be the last here in the Indy series. That turn there, when you hit those rumble strips with your left tires there, it just sends you around almost every time, and so it's heartbreaking to see your race end like that. But you know, what other parts of the race went well for you?
Well, it seemed like I was finally getting a good rhythm. I just turned my fastest lap the lap before that one.
I think that's how. I think that's just kind of how it works in life. You finally do something really well, and then you crash out.
Yeah, just turned my fastest lap and just caught too much of the apron there, and I was I was probably going to be fine, but I was just in my rhythm, and I shifted in the second gear, and all the grip caught, and it just turned me right in the wall.
Now, obviously, we have you for an interview here. Indy Series is not your primary series. Your primary series is in the Winona Road Truck Series. You're coming off a very, successful race there at Gateway, finally getting a win for your playoff series. While we have you, tell us a little bit about, kind of how you see your season unfolding in the Winona Road Truck Series.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Last night I struggled at Kentucky, but wound up with the top 10, so I'll take it. Rest of the season's been going pretty good. I've been pretty consistent throughout. I've tried to be consistent just to keep up with the points, and hopefully wins will come. But it's going pretty good so far.
Awesome, yeah, and it's been a pleasure to race with you in the Winona Road Truck Series. Again, currently I'm driving that as well. My broadcast duties take up most of the other racing opportunities during the week, but while we have you in here, Matt, again, we don't get to talk to you very often in the Indy Series broadcast on Thursdays. So is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Just all the admins and everybody that does the broadcasting. Everybody that does a pretty good job, and it's been a real fun league to run in, and all the sponsors for all the series. Like I said, it's been a real fun league to run in this year.
Awesome, Matt. Well, again, thanks for taking the time and not being too bummed out about your outcome of today's race. Again, not your primary series, but of course you never want to end it like that, especially after turning your fastest lap of the race.
Looked like I was getting a pretty good finish shaping up there, but unfortunate I wrecked. So.
Yeah, no, that's very unfortunate. But again, hopefully we see you next week at Mid-Ohio, and if not, at some of the other ovals that will be coming up here in the Indy Series.
Yep, I'm trying to make every IndyCar race I can.
Awesome, Matt. Well, thank you for coming out, and we'll talk to you next time, buddy.
All right, thanks.
That was Matthew Kleinschmidt. Again, he looks like he's currently marked as 8th. He is officially out of the race. We're watching Andrew Short come down and pit, probably for the last time. He is currently in 5th, Andrew Short is, so he's rebounded nicely, obviously taking advantage of some of the other incidents here, Alex, that we've had on this racetrack. Right now, with 43 of 60 in the books, we're going to try to run through the field of the current cars that we have left, Alex. So again, help me fill in any gaps that I might miss. But starting with our leader, Mark Emerson. Again, he started 3rd. He just joined, the Dynasty Racing League, probably specifically for this series. And he's come out here and he's shown that he belongs. So if Matthew DePriest doesn't catch him soon, it looks like Mark Emerson will probably end up leading the most laps and having a good points day. Of course, with him joining on race 14, his opportunity to win a championship has already been squandered. But certainly he's had an excellent race.
From what I can tell you about Mark Emerson is that he has turned one of his fastest laps of the race about 2 laps ago. He's got a great car underneath, set up absolutely wonderful for his driving style, and he's deciding to make the best use of it here at Gilles Villeneuve.
Awesome. And looking back here to our second place car, Mr. Matthew DePriest, we spoke to him at the beginning of the race as a pole sitter. His goal today was to survive, and fittingly so, he has spun a few times, sustained damage, got it fixed, and he has survived as he has now made his way back up to the second spot. Again, Matthew DePriest has probably passed the most amount of cars today, as again, every time you spin, you obviously have to make your way through the field again. So he's been able to overcome that spin in turn 4 and has since he also spun on the restart on turn 2 on that last restart. So but he's rebounded nicely. He passed Luke Short several laps ago, and he's trying to hunt down Mark Emerson. Mark Emerson's not really pulling away as much, but Matthew DePriest certainly isn't catching Mark Emerson either. So Matthew DePriest does have a little bit of work to do if he does want to get this victory today.
I think that what would really shake up the race outcome and Matthew Prix is definitely looking forward to it, but he probably wants a full course yellow now. Doesn't want to be the cause of the full course yellow, but
Yeah,
it's
be careful
definitely
what you wish
something
for.
that's on his mind that he kind of wants to see up on his screen.
Yeah, now we're watching Matthew Dupree's carve through turns 3 and 4 and 5, entering 6 and 7 here. Now let's go back to our third place runner here, Mr. Luke Short. Luke Short started 5th, so he qualified well. He had the speed in practice, but again, he's another one who he got involved. He sustained some damage, got involved in a couple incidents, making contact with another car. I know he made contact with James Panel, trying to overtake in turn 10, and then just now on the screen you saw him pass that treacherous turn 4. He also, spun there and actually made some contact with Casey Drake, but he has rebounded nicely since, maintaining that 3rd position. Alex, have you noticed anything else here that Luke Short has done today?
I have noticed that during the interview with Matt Kleinschmidt, he spun around in turn 10, losing quite a bit of time. And didn't have any impact on the wall. He's still chugging out as best of his laps as he can. He's just hoping for a good finish today.
Now it looks like Matthew Dupree's has come down pit road. We just, I switched to the pit road camera here because I just want to make sure that he's not coming down for, damage or anything. It looks like he's just coming down to make his last pit stop of the day, lap 46 of 60, which also means because we are 15 laps into a stint for our leader. Mark Emerson has run 15 laps, so he should probably be in fairly shortly as well, probably within the next couple laps. Again, these drivers do have to remember that when they pit under green, when they come out, their tires are going to be cold again, so you got to watch out for spins.
Luke Short also in the pit lane.
Steven Sims also, getting on the pit lane as well. And you see the times: Chris James, Robbie Armstrong, David Wingfield have all but retired basically from this race. Now looking here, we're on board with our 4th place driver, David Wright. Relatively quiet today. We saw him getting some, a couple battles here with other cars. Otherwise, he's kind of just maintained the status quo. And as we see our leader come in here, Mr. Mark Emerson, for his last pit stop of the day. Again, talking about our 4th place runner, David Wright, just kind of coming in here, minding his own business. And last week at Iowa, we saw David Wright have an incredible finish because of what he was able to do on the long runs. Today, however, not quite having the same success here on road courses as we normally would see on an oval. So David Wright, again, just minding his own business, quietly sitting there in the top 5. So good for him.
David Wright has, as you've said, an uneventful day. We haven't noticed him spin, crash, or in any ways explode.
Yeah, not yet, anyway. Now, talking here about our 5th place driver, Mr. Andrew Short. Again, chasing Matthew Dupreist here in the points. If you take all the events of Andrew Short having today, which I might say that he might have had one of the more eventful races. He might have been the busiest driver so far with the spins that he's had, the EOL, the contact that he's made. 5th place, not so bad. He is the first car 1 lap down, and he has already made his final pit stop. So Andrew Short just looking to finish this thing out.
Andrew Short, as we have seen, he's made contact with quite a few surfaces on the track and other cars. If I was out there racing the first car a lap down, he's done all he can for right now, just trying to ride it out these last 15 laps.
Yeah, he has no pressure from the 6th place driver, and he really has no opportunity at this point anyway to catch 4th. So Andrew Short's goal basically is to maintain 5th, which for him I know he would see as a huge success. Again, finishing 2nd last week, 5th today. Andrew Short, he is the winner. He won our first ever Indy Series race at Homestead, so able to overcome, and hopefully he can have a very uneventful last few laps here. Looking
Yeah.
Look back at our 6th place driver here. Uh-oh.
Raul Alvarez.
Mark Emerson back in pit lane here. What happened?
Oh, he's got front wing damage and is out of the car. He is retired. Our leader.
We're riding on board with Mark Emerson here, entering turn 3, turn 4. Oh, turn 4 claims our leader here, our fastest car of the race.
He has flipped over his car. That seems like more than just your usual front wing change.
So, wow, what a strange turn of events as we were trying to go kind of cycle through the field here and kind of keep everyone updated on everyone else. Our fastest car, the one who hadn't had an incident all race. Of course, as soon as we turn the camera away from him, he ends up having an incident that will cost him a shot at the victory here. Incredible turn of events here for him. And looking here, wow, that is just incredible. Hopefully, we can get Mark Emerson in here for an interview. I know he's got to be incredibly frustrated, so if I bring him in here and he says a cuss word or two, I do apologize. We are going to bring Mark Emerson in right now and see what he has to say. Mark Emerson, you got a copy, sir? We were kind of going through the field here in our broadcast, kind of keeping everyone updated on our top 5 cars, and as soon as we took the camera away from you, it seemed you became just the latest victim of turn 3 and 4 here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Kind of take us through that incident there.
I just got into the pits and I was coming out 10 seconds ahead of 2nd place, and I was feeling good about getting this win, and cold tires got me. As soon as I went through that corner, it just snapped right into the wall. iRacing physics, I did a few barrel rolls.
Yeah, well, of course, because why not? That just adds insult to injury. Yeah, mentioning that the cold tires, I had just mentioned, actually, the cold tires would be something that we'd have to watch because we've seen, experienced racers like Matthew DePriest spin entering turn 1 and 2 on a restart on cold tires. But, Mark, you are, if I'm not mistaken, you are, you haven't been in DRL before. You are our newest driver addition, so tell us kind of, besides that last incident, how your race went overall and what you look forward to going forward.
It was a great race overall. I mean, we had a few cautions, which was kind of annoying because I got cautions pretty quick here, and not too big of a show up, but I was just expecting that because it's road course and people don't like road courses very often.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting a much bigger turnout next week. Not sure we are.
Yeah, next week we are at Mid-Ohio, and again,
I got you. I'll beat that race too.
yeah, no. At the beginning of the year, we were, trying to get some of our drivers to really become interested in road course racing. We've had a lot come out. A field of 15. If you look at the Verizon IndyCar series, it's not, it's not too far from the field of 20 that they normally have. So, not too disappointed with the field size here, but again, more disappointed in the fact that you came out here and you were just stomping the field, and you had just an incredible race, and unfortunately you just didn't get the results there, due to, those cold tires, as you said. So, while we have you, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to that might be watching the broadcast?
All you guys for doing this broadcast, the league owner, I can't remember his name exactly. And,
James Pandolf.
I can't say that last name. That's not happening.
JP. He runs by JP, so it's fine.
JP will work. I will work with that. And everybody that was in that race, man, just everybody showing up. That was great. And who was in 2nd place? 55, I believe, right?
Matthew DePriest was the guy that was chasing you.
Yeah. He was definitely faster than me. He just got unlucky a few times, and he would have had me. I'm pretty sure if he didn't have not as good a pit stop as me.
Mark Emerson, as a guest in the broadcast booth, I have been noticing that you were consistently faster than Matthew DePriest, running, I think, the fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, as soon as I hit that fast lap, I just started taking off. But I mean, before that, he was definitely faster than me, and so was I'm bad with names since it's the first time.
No, that's okay. But yeah,
it's all right.
There's Matthew DePriest, Chris Stouffer. There's a lot of very competitive road course racers in here today.
I felt like I had it in that match, though.
Yeah, and uncharacteristically, we lost a lot of race cars today. So, as we enter these final 10 laps here, again, the fact that we only have 6 or 7 cars on the racetrack is very, very unique. But hopefully, when we go to Mid-Ohio, which again, I've been corrected, it is our next race, but it isn't next week. We do have a couple off weeks coming up. I believe we'll have to double check the schedule there. But Mark, thank you for coming in the booth with us and being, somewhat cheerful, even though you did squander what seemed to be almost a guaranteed victory here at this point. But a great run overall. You really came out here and showed these drivers that they should be on high alert, especially when coming to a road course.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck, Mark Emerson. I hope to see you up at the front of the field in the next couple IndyCar races.
I definitely will be up there. Maybe not the ovals. Ovals, I might go there.
Well, you'll be one of the road course ringers, I'm assuming.
That's okay. Yeah, ovals are hit and miss.
Yeah, you gotta get my field oval. You have to qualify up front. You're not getting anywhere.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing you in this Indy series, and maybe other, some of our other stock car series as well. You never know, Mark. So have a good rest of the day here, and good race.
See ya.
Again, speaking with Mark Emerson, who had that win there just about nailed together, but that gives an opportunity to Matthew DePriest. Again, his motto was survive, and he has done so far with 8 laps to go here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's Matthew DePriest, Luke Short, David Wright, and Andrew Short. Top 5 being rounded out by Raul Alvarez. So incredible events today. It's almost been like a soap opera almost, Alex.
It has definitely been a soap opera or a play of some sort involving quite a few drivers leading this race, and then the rise and fall of Mark Emerson.
And again, of course, you're always going to be disappointed when you think that you have just about a race nailed up, and kind of a self-inflicted wound there. But again, he did come out here and he had a great showing, so that's also very important. But now,
let's just hope he sticks around.
Yeah, no, of course. We're watching Matthew DePriest here try to tick some of these laps away here. While we have this opportunity, again, we would like to remind you that you've been watching the Montreal Grand Prix on Dynasty Racing League TV, DRL TV, at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We're just about approaching our finale here. The next race will be at Mid-Ohio. That will be 67 laps. It says Thursday, July 26th here. Also, that date, I've also gotten another date elsewhere, but we'll confirm that date for you before the end of this broadcast. But that will be the next time these Indy cars take the track here. And then, of course, our next broadcast will be next Monday as we restart the whole cycle of stock car racing broadcasts, as we do, again, 4 broadcasts a week on average. Next Monday, we will be doing New Hampshire for the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. The B, those are the B cars, so they will be trying to attack New Hampshire, which, it may say it's a mile in length, but it certainly has that short track mentality, especially considering the one groove racetrack that it is and the lower speeds that they carry through those corners. So also would like to remind anyone that is still watching here on DRL TV, we do have 4 series that we broadcast live almost every week, depending on the scheduling, of course. But if you do like what you see, if there's a driver that you're following, or you just like live racing with pre and post race commentary, make sure that you hit the like or the subscribe button on YouTube, and you will be alerted on whatever device you use when we go live for racing events during the week. So again, 4 active series that we broadcast each week, and the Indy series is one of them. And again, we have about 5 laps to go here, Alex. Give us any thoughts that you might have for this race here, and tell us about your time that you had here in the booth today.
This has been one of the greatest times I've had here, and just kind of watching the race. It's been so nice to be up here in the broadcast booth. I wish I could be coming back more often.
Mm-hmm.
This race has been ups and downs. I cannot wait to see how this championship battle shakes up with Matt Kleinschmidt leading this race.
Yeah, Kleinschmidt is our leader currently, and again, he has a 41-second gap over Luke Short. And just like last week in the at Iowa Speedway, there's 2 cars on the lead lap. Now, last week that was because of a pit strategy issue with Christopher and Andrew Short staying out, and everyone else had already pitted under green flag conditions, and then there was a caution flag that came out. So today, 2 cars on lead lap, a little bit different reason, kind of calamity is the reason why we are here where we are at today. So
2 reasons why these 2 cars have stayed on the lead lap is probably determination and luck with Matthew DePriest scraping by with some nicks and bruises here, but he's got his car repaired and he's setting the speed blistering fast.
No, he is absolutely flying right now. So again, Matthew DePriest, he is looking to shore up his 3rd win of the series, or 3rd win of the season, which I believe would tie Christopher, because as Christopher does appear to have 3 wins as well here in the point standings. And last week Matthew DePriest finished, he had a very lackluster finish. I believe, he finished somewhere outside the top 10 or somewhere on the low end of the top 10, with Andrew Short finishing 2nd. So he did end up losing almost 20 points of the 65-point gap that he had. It is now down to 45 points. After this race, though, he should get at least a decent chunk of that back. But again, as luck would have it for Andrew Short, even considering all the events that he's gone through today, he still ends up currently having a 4th place finish. So, very, very good for him.
Yeah, as you've been mentioning, I'm pretty sure this battle is secured up between Matthew DePriest and Andrew Short. Jason Taylor, 147 points back from Matthew DePriest, current points leader.
Yeah, no, again, it does seem to be between these top 2 guys right now. Again, this is race 14, race number 15 of the 20 will be next, our next race at Mid-Ohio. And again, Eric Weatherholt's race control is telling us that it will be August 2nd. So these drivers do get a couple of weeks to, heal some of their wounds that they received here at Circus Gilles Villeneuve, and get ready and get prepped for the Mid-Ohio track in a couple weeks. So that will be certainly a decent. That'll be an interesting type of road course. It's almost completely different from what we see here in Montreal. So always fascinating to go to these different road courses, because you have in a field you have guys that are good at road courses and guys that aren't. And then in the guys that are good at road courses, you have guys that are good at the sweeping fast courses, and then you have guys that are good at the shorter, tighter technical road courses. So it's you've got these brackets that every driver kind of breaks up here. So some drivers who are, even though they're good at road courses, may not like Montreal so much, and maybe they might enjoy Barber, which is a much tighter racetrack, more technical for sure. So we'll see what kind of opportunities Mid-Ohio brings for some of these road course lovers here, and maybe some of these oval drivers here. Again, a lot of these oval guys, like David Wright, who's not known for his road course experience, he's sitting podium, so good for him.
I think that as you were talking about 2 types of road course guys, Mid-Ohio is going to be a half and half. It is really a compromise between the long straights and the sweeping edge turns and the sharp hairpins, as we see turn 10.
Yeah, and it's funny because turn 10 really hasn't had that much action here. These drivers have navigated turn 10 quite well, with the exception of being a little bit too throttle happy on exit. Entry-wise, turn 10 has been excellent. These guys have been getting onto the casino straight quite well. It's been the one group of turns that we really didn't mention before the racetrack, or before the race started in Sector 1. It's turns 3 and 4 that have really claimed the majority of the majority of the race cars here today, and the Wall of Champions has claimed nobody, at least not that we've caught on camera, with the inside wall on exit claiming Christopher, but that actual wall on the outside, we were riding on board with Mark Emerson, and he got as close as you can get to it without making contact, but again, it doesn't appear that any contact was made with that particular wall today.
It is definitely a wall of championship drivers, and they have not even thought of hitting it today.
Mm-hmm.
Turn 10, with its aura around it, like everyone's saying, man, watch out for turn 10. They've taken some time and really practiced that turn out, as we are under 2 laps to go.
Yep, Matthew Dupree's trying to, again, count these laps down. We were looking here at David Wright in third as he is entering 6 and 7 here, I believe, and Andrew Short is hitting the start-finish line. So really no more opportunities for position changes unless, of course, we have some unforeseen event here. As Matthew Dupree's does look to lock up his third victory here. All 3 have been road courses, so that's not surprising. I know he won the Indianapolis GP. I don't, off the top of my head, I do not remember where else he won, but of course here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, very much obviously a road course. He will get a victory here today. So great for Matthew Dupreist. Again, it's so funny that in that interview with him today, talking about, and I'll mention this when we interview him, talking about just trying to survive, and he did an excellent job. And yes, he sustained a little damage. Yes, he had an incident or two that he might wish he could rewind, but he was able to avoid the big one. He was able to spin in a way that was graceful and not not in a way where you see some of these guys spin and then back up into a wall, or spin and then make contact with another car. Matthew Dupreist, when spinning, he did a very good job of avoiding contact with any other vehicle here. So again, Matthew Dupreist doing a great job today overall, spins aside, as he is entering turn 10 and trying to get onto the casino straight for the last time here.
Matthew Kleinschmidt definitely put on a great show here today. He won at Barber. He won at Indianapolis Road Course, coming down to turn 13 and 14. He is going to secure his win at Circuit des Gilles Villeneuve.
Absolutely. And again, unofficial results so far. Matthew Dupreist is passing the start-finish line first. And we will come back here to Luke Short as we will watch him try to navigate the rest of this racetrack here. Again, eventful race for him, and there's nothing wrong with second place, especially considering all the events that went on in Luke Short's race today.
As Matthew Dupreist celebrating by jumping turns 1 and 2 and ending up in the tire barrier. I think he might have gotten stopped beforehand.
I'm not sure what these guys are celebrating more, the fact that they have had a good finish or the fact that this race is finally over, because again, with some of the cautions that we had, this did end up being a little bit of a lengthy race, considering this is normally the broadcast length that we have for a 200-mile stock car
race.
Stock car race. So again, Andrew Short, he will be passing in the 4th position. David Wright gets 3rd, so he is the final driver on podium here. So again, great points days by Andrew Short, Matthew Dupreist. Matthew Dupreist not going to be able to, even though he gets the win, he's not going to be able to gain a whole lot back on Andrew Short, which is exactly what Andrew Short wanted to keep this points lead interesting. So again, a great race overall, and we will set to interview some of these drivers here in just a second.
3 we're going to need to talk about
we do,
how their races have gone.
Unlike the stock car series, here we celebrate podiums only. If you finish 4th or 5th, get out of here. We interview the top 3, and then we will conclude our broadcast in the post race. But as we get set to bring in Matthew Dupreist again, as I'm sure he is celebrating getting his first win in a while here. Matthew Dupreist, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir.
I've mentioned it a few times in the broadcast. Going back to your interview at the beginning of the race, your goal was to survive, and you did just that. But I'll tell you what, though.
I also said I was my own worst enemy.
Yeah, I suppose you did, didn't you? I do want you to take us through kind of maybe your mentality, your frustration level when turns 3 and 4 bit you, and turn 2 bit you.
Oh crap! Oh crap! Oh crap!
Oh, yep, no, that's pretty much how
that's how I would imagine it going.
That's how I would
Get
caption
back out there. What really bugged me was had that wing damage and came back out at the rear of the field, and I thought that was going to be it.
Well, again, you're able to overcome. You passed a lot of cars today, and what we mentioned in the broadcast is yes, you had a couple spins. Yes, you did. You were able to fix some of the damage that you sustained on some of those spins, but we saw people like Jonathan Schwartz, who only spun once but received so much damage that he couldn't continue. You were able to avoid sustaining, that type of damage. So obviously, you must have done something right today, Matt.
Well, you got to know which turns you can push it on, and which ones you don't have any margin for error.
Mm-hmm.
The sweeping ones are usually the ones I end up screwing up. It's not like the really sharp ones where you're going to run into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because I let myself push a little more there, and if I'm not paying attention, you spin and get back out.
Now, what went through your head? Again, if you want to do the oh crap, the very simplified version, you may. What went through your head when you saw Mark Emerson, A, hit something, and B, retire almost immediately?
We were talking in race. I mean, that's not the way I wanted it to happen. We had similar pace, so I think the way it was going, we either would have stayed, about the same gap, or had a, fun little battle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But walls are there.
Yes, they are. That is what keeps these races interesting. It's the barriers. Again, Matthew, is there anything that maybe we missed during the race that you want to talk about, or is there, is there any shout-outs that you want to give here?
Everybody out here racing. Everybody that put in a lot of effort, back several races ago when the series was kind of circling the toilet, because it's really come together, and we got a lot of good people coming out. So
yeah, that was actually the site of your last victory is where we kind of decided you were either going to go full bore and really promote the Indy Series, or kind of try something else here. So the Indy Series has been such an incredible success. As far as broadcasting goes, no auto racing broadcasts better than these cars here. So especially when we have skilled drivers such as yourself circling these tracks, it looks phenomenal, and you guys put on a great show.
Yeah, and you've kind of taken the reins for broadcast, and you're doing 3 nights a week or so. So I appreciate you putting all that time into it.
Oh, yeah, no, it's my pleasure. As long as I get to race sometimes, you know what I mean? People might forget that I actually do race.
Host the sessions and everything, put the money up.
Get your little session in the truck.
Yeah.
All the DPR guys and Brandon Dalton for not coming out, because I probably wouldn't have been at the front. I tried talking him into it.
Yeah, hopefully Brandon Dalton does find his way out here, before the season ends. Again, it was awesome to see him dominate the beginning of the season at like Laguna Seca and places like that. So, Alex, do you have any questions here for Matthew DePriest?
So, Matthew, my main question is, how was the tone of the race for you when you had to get some of those struggles back or reel it in?
I'm primarily a road racer, so I'm not used to cautions, and that shakes me up every time. You bunch the cars back up, and it's, pre-race jitters all over again for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a struggle every time.
Yeah, definitely as part road course racer here, that start is very treacherous with everybody being backed up, and you gotta either fight your way right through or run very consistent laps and get around them.
Well,
there's the cautions. They take a lot of the control out of your hand because cars are bunched up. So, you can't control everybody's brakes. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and those cautions.
Just a bucket of nerves.
Those cautions were thrown, quite accurately. Because we saw those, especially turns 3 and 4, when people were spinning there. It's a blind corner. That corner ended up really making the race what it was. We lost a lot of good drivers in that in Sector 1 there. So. Matt, again, if you have any shout-outs that you'd like to give, now is a perfect time.
Yeah, I think the ones I already did are got it covered.
Awesome, man. Well,
My
again,
wife for letting me race, of course.
oh yeah, no, same here. Again, you mentioned that I broadcast 3 times a week. I could never do that without the support of my beautiful fiance. So, Matthew, it was great to watch you come out here. Of course, as luck would have it, Andrew Short still had a decent finish, so you don't really gap him that much in the points, but you do get another victory. So we will see you in 2 weeks at Mid-Ohio, and until then, man, stay safe.
Heck yes.
Awesome. That was Matthew DePriest here. We will try to see if we can bring in P2, Mr. Luke Short. Luke Short, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, I am here.
Luke Short, as we watched in the broadcast, you certainly had a more eventful race than I imagined that you had planned for, but you rebounded expertly. You got a second place finish. Tell us kind of about your day.
It was garbage. It was. I mean, I didn't expect much. I thought maybe I would finish top 10, hopefully top 5. I didn't expect to finish second. But then again, I'm not surprised because there's a lot of fast guys, but these fast guys are very prone to making mistakes and taking things too hard. Or they're fighting way too hard with each other. So it doesn't surprise me that so many people were out, especially from the top group. I actually didn't expect Matthew to win. Not gonna lie, just because of how many times he spun out. I want to say at that first S turn. Yeah, 3 and 4. He spun out there twice, I think. And it was nuts.
Yeah, and we also saw you spin at the entrance of 3, and but again, I know you spun a couple times, but you were able to do what Matthew did and really avoid getting substantial damage. Something that Jonathan Schwartz wasn't able to do. Chris Stouffer only spun once, but he got so much damage he couldn't continue. So obviously, even though you did spin a couple times, you spun in a way that was graceful and beautiful. And you were able to, keep going on. So, at least you had that going for you, Luke.
Yeah, I saw the spin before it was happening. So that's kind of what saved my car, I think, because I was like, oh, I'm about to spin right here. Because there were multiple times where the car just gets super loose when you're exiting a turn, and sometimes with the way this race was so long, it doesn't surprise me that so many people, everybody spun out just for the fact that you're trying to pay attention and you're trying to remember every turn, and you come up to one turn, you catch yourself daydreaming for 1 second, and you just spin out. So I think I saw myself spin out 4 times.
Alex, do you have any questions here for Mr. Luke Short?
Well, as the race has gone on, I did notice your car slowly being able to make it up. We mentioned that you did have some little mishaps, but you were able to rebound very good. Congrats on the podium.
Yeah, thank you. Quick shout out to DRL and S2R. And thank you guys for casting.
No,
doing a good job with the guest cast.
Yeah, the guest cast. And again, as we mentioned, you were
Getty's garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing keeping this broadcasting going is the fact that
Getty is garbage. Let me rephrase. Getty is garbage without me, so therefore I need to come back on the street.
You finished second. You can't complain too much.
Yeah, you might need to stay out on the racetrack for that.
Well, hey, Luke, again, it was a pleasure watching you race. And of course, it was a pleasure broadcasting with you last week at Iowa. You got your shout-outs in, but, do you think you'll be joining us at Mid-Ohio in a couple weeks?
One way or another, that's the plan. So
awesome, Luke. Well, again, it was a pleasure watching you overcome adversity and carve through the field and get a second-place finish. So, congratulations, I guess, even though, again, it was kind of a messy race, but you still get a second place.
Yep. I'm happy. So.
Awesome. Luke, well, it was a pleasure watching you race, and you have a good one, sir.
All right, you too.
Again, that was Alexander Russell here, trying to look for David Wright, our podium finisher. David Wright, we will bring him into the broadcast booth here. David Wright, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, got a copy.
Awesome. It was you of all the racers that we talked about. Again, it seemed like you certainly had the quieter of the day in comparison to some of the guys that maybe has spun, got damage. Was there something that happened in the race that maybe we missed as far as eventfulness goes?
It's hard to tell on a road course. You can't always tell everything, but I looked into my spot. I can't deny that. Some of the faster guys had some accidents that took them out, and I was able to maintain. I mean, at third place and a lap down. So, sometimes, like I said before, you got to have the luck sometimes.
Yeah, no, and last week, of course, is almost a similar situation where you had a good finish, but you still finished a lap down because of pitting, and the caution coming out at an ill-timed situation. But again, you kept it smooth today. As we mentioned, you're not known for your road course experience, but you come out here and you get a podium finish, and this isn't your first podium here in the Indy Series. So, is this series something that you might consider running full time, perhaps next year when it comes back?
Oh, absolutely. For some reason, I've, and you never know why or reasons, but I just take well to the IndyCar, and I've run some Indy leagues in the past, and when they mentioned DRL they were going to start one, I knew I wasn't a road racer, but I give it a shot anyway. So the Indy car is just a fun car to drive. It's kind of like the Xfinity car. It's just fun.
Well, I mean, you've raced. This is your 7th race that you've raced with us, and you have 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and then you had that awesome win at Phoenix where you beat out Anthony Burroughs. So obviously, you keep getting these good finishes. So I imagine that certainly helps you come back each and every week. So David, again, it's been a pleasure. Do you have any shout outs that you want to give, sir?
Oh yeah, got to thank DPR. We got 2 podiums tonight. So congrats to Matthew on his, and got to thank everybody at DRL. You guys in the booth putting on this race for everybody to watch. It's nice to get the Indy cars out there, and got to thank my good friend Joey, who keeps the rig running whenever it has issues. You know how they can be. They're finicky just like everything else.
Yeah, my rig has some problems too, and you gotta keep on top of those things.
Yeah, it's usually a Windows issue or something, but yeah, especially when you're running VR and everything else we run on these things, man, it's just no telling what might go wrong.
Right. Yeah. No, I've actually gotten lucky with PC issues or having a lack thereof. And of course, as I say that, it probably will start smoking and explode in my lap. But again, David, it was awesome to see you come out here. And again, almost similar to last week, consistency and stretching out a fuel run and saving equipment gets you another great finish. So hopefully we see you back here in a couple of weeks at Mid-Ohio. And if not, I'm sure we'll see you back when we visit places like Michigan and Pocono.
Absolutely. Yeah. I should be here. I've looked at my schedule. It all depends on my work schedule, but I've looked at it and should be there for Mid-Ohio. So when we come back. So again, thank y'all, and thanks for everything y'all do.
Awesome, David. Well, you have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next week at some point in stock car racing.
Absolutely. Y'all take care.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
You too.
Again, just to reiterate, we've been watching the Montreal Grand Prix for the Dynasty Racing League Indy Series. Not the race that we really probably anticipated when we started calling this broadcast at the beginning, but certainly we've still got a great race tonight. Matthew DePriest able to claim the win here as we look at these unofficial results. Doesn't quite lead he doesn't get points for the most laps led, as that does. That title, it looks like it will stick with Mark Emerson, again coming out here and just debuting quite nicely. Alex, again, do you have any closing statements for this race here?
From what I could say, it's been such a pleasure to broadcast with you, Getty. Hi. I mean, I hope to be able to maybe work on the oval sometime. It's just a good way to start you right in the IndyCar series. From exciting racing to a demolition derby, it's been a race of ups and downs. Matthew Klein Matthew DePriest was able to come home with the win. And Luke Short, 45 seconds back. Just shows you the pace that DePriest was having.
Yeah, and again, it just shows, perseverance. Matthew DePriest mentioned that, he got, of course, a little flustered, a little frustrated, but he was able to overcome, and he had a great race. Next, just to remind, the next race, again, as we've alluded to a few times, is Mid-Ohio. Again, that'll be a very, very interesting track. That will be in a few weeks, August 2nd. It says July 26th, but that is not correct. It will be August 2nd in 2 weeks. A great race there, I anticipate as well. Hopefully we get another amazing turnout here, and hopefully we keep some of these race cars on the racetrack for a while again. Montreal proved to be
track of failures.
Yeah, no, it was even when we go to at the beginning of the year when we went to Barber or Laguna Seca, there wasn't this many incidents. It was, it's just incredible. But, congratulations to those that were able to overcome and still get a good finish. New Hampshire will be on Monday as DRL TV returns next Monday. That will be brought to you by David Wellborn, possibly myself, possibly another new face. I don't know. We'll keep you in suspense. New Hampshire again. It will be, that will be an exciting race. New Hampshire, especially here in iRacing. Again, with that short trek mentality and with aggressive drivers that we have in the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters, names like Hesgard, Chris Pope, Tater Bowman, those guys will be battling out for a win as they start approaching the playoff, the playoff seeding here in a couple months. So they'll definitely be hungry for a win there on Monday. And then again, just to remind everybody, this has been a live event here on DRL TV. If you liked what you saw, or if there's a specific driver that you follow and want to continue following, please hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified anytime that we go live, again, which is mostly 4 times a week, somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 10 hours a week of live coverage. So if that's what you're into, please subscribe to DRL TV, like the video, do what you need to do, and then hopefully we see you back here. These are all the names of the people involved. Again, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my special guest for this week, Alex Russell. Incredible job helping call this race. You actually did the majority of the work. You found most of the incidents that I would have missed. So also a good shout out or a big shout out to Eric Weatherholtz, race control. He race controlled this race today, putting out the cautions, talking to the drivers and all that stuff. So is a great effort by everyone today. And again, this has been DRL TV. We hope to see you back again soon, and we will see you again Monday when we go live for the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. Have a great evening, and thanks for watching.
Take care, everyone.